Hi, it's Elisa from LA Woman Tours, and today we're talking about storybook architecture. The 1920s was a golden era of architecture in the United States. American soldiers were returning home from World War I, and after seeing Europe's culture and architecture, they brought home with them the inspiration to recreate what they saw as exotic or different, and the result was an architectural revival movement. This is why all over the U.S., you may see buildings from the 1920s and 1930s that are updated versions of classic European architectural styles. After the soldiers returned home, the 1920s were a time of celebration and progress. Modern technology was helping us gear up for flight, skyscrapers, and cars. Los Angeles was a prime example of a city ready to embrace such a movement. The movies had recently come to town, along with the automotive, oil, and shipping industries. The once dusty western town known as Los Angeles was now bursting with visionaries eager to create a world that reflected the city's innovative spirit. LA was seen as a blank slate progressive thinkers could put their own unique stamp on and create a city centered around art, music, technology, and literature. With artists in town and the popular architectural revival movement in full swing, it was only a matter of time before Los Angeles would come up with its own twist. Bits and pieces were taken from multiple sources. Tudor style, castles, and cottages were mixed in with imagery from fairy tales and fantasy to create a uniquely LA type of architecture. Storybook. Today, these buildings often draw comparisons to Hobbit houses and Snow White cottages as seen in Disney's movie, but when storybook architecture debuted in the 1920s, neither The Hobbit nor Snow White existed. Both of those weren't released until 1937. Because of its popularity, there are still many storybook examples left in various forms. Some are fully intact, others have been stripped of their former glory with just some basic structure remaining. Storybook was whimsical and employed the use of exaggerated features. Here are some key points of storybook architecture. Iron embellishments, whimsical chimneys, wood shingles, often with irregular patterns. This is getting tougher to find because these roofs are expensive and require an artisan who knows how to install them, but a few examples still exist. Landscaping and foliage that replicate forests or woods, steep or dramatic gables, turrets. Windows vary. If they're original, they can be leaded, wavy, or stained. Some are wood-framed and others are steel. Roof lines come in a variety of curved shapes and evoke a fairy tale feel. This can include swayback or sagging shapes. Doors are often arched in some way or battened, sometimes both. The most famous example of storybook architecture is the Spadina house in Beverly Hills, which deserves a video of its own. This house draws people from all over the world, not to mention thousands of children on Halloween who just want to trick-or-treat at what looks like a witch's house. Storybook buildings were usually houses and apartments, although there are a few examples where the style was employed in commercial buildings, such as the Tam O'Shanter, which opened in 1922. It should come as no surprise that Walt Disney, whose office at the time was close by, was a regular here for lunch. And although it's been extensively remodeled over the years, it still retains much of its storybook look. And yes, it does look a little bit like the world he created for Snow White. And finally, let's look at the original real estate office that was selling property in a tract called Hollywoodland. It is also a storybook architecture style building, and 100 years later, it is still functioning as a real estate office. The Hollywoodland real estate development placed a giant sign on the hill as an advertisement, and as we all know, the term Hollywood came to describe the entertainment industry. In other words, storybook architecture has been in Hollywood from day one. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and do all that stuff the algorithms need so I can keep doing these. In the meantime, take care and I will see you next time.